Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
You do Friday, Tom, and it's early Friday, so this is really crazy. We have once a month, you and I have something to do on Friday morning. We have to do this program early, and it always feels weird.
Certainly. Well, it feels weird when you're not doing it at 8 o'clock every day, or
Yes.
8:03 or 5 or 7 or whenever.
Whenever we get to it, yeah. So,
Correct.
Tom, hey, this is a big day. I previewed it yesterday.
Yes, you did.
This is Gorgeous Grandma's Day. Now, every grandmother is gorgeous. I can't think of a grandmother who is not gorgeous. They are just, I was blessed. I had grandmothers who are great, and my wife had a grandmother that I was lucky enough to get to know, Mom, and she was one of the most special people in my life, and she always laughed at my joke. We had a running joke, and she would laugh every time. So if you are blessed enough to have a grandmother or grandmothers in your life right now, they have to be gorgeous, and I would say cherish them, because my grandmothers died before I was really older, and I missed out on a lot. So I know there's a humor to Gorgeous Grandma's Day, but it's also a really great way to celebrate grandmothers.
Why the qualifier?
I don't know. What did I qualify?
That gorgeous.
Oh,
Why isn't it just Grandmother's Day?
I don't know. But I did do some research. You asked me yesterday, what does it take to be on the National Day calendar? And I did some research because I wanted to know. And it turns out you have to apply to this organization,
Okay.
and you have to show proof that you've actually celebrated this. And it very specifically says this can't be like friends or family. This has to be like they want to see newspaper clippings or a TV story or something to show that it's not just you making this thing up. So if we're going to do National Renegades Day, we need to start now. We need to get some media coverage. And then in a couple of years, it would be on the calendar. So I'm going to put that ball in your court, Tom.
What is media coverage? Social media coverage? Is that it?
I guess it could be.
Press release?
Press release would certainly do it. Yeah.
March
So
19th, March 9th.
I thought it was 19th.
March 19th, right.
I think it's
March
19th.
19th.
Okay. All right. I'll work on it. I'll get my
work on
people
that.
working.
I still am curious about, unless some person was just like, oh, we should just make them all gorgeous. Just seems a little objectifying of our grandmothers, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I just heard it all in my head. Somehow it all clicked just that second when you said objectifying. I was like, yeah. I just present the information, Tom. I try not to editorialize, except for the rat catchers.
Well, you did editorialize because you gave us some information about your grandmothers
Yeah.
or
Yes.
the grandmothers that you have known.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. Gorgeous grandmothers. Fascinating. I'll tell you what, this is an interesting organization. I need to look more into
The National Calendar Day people.
who are the people making these decisions and why.
Tom wants to be on the board.
No, I definitely do not. Although it would be funny because people would share an awful lot about their brand
Yes.
and who they are and what they're trying to accomplish by what the submissions are.
Wow, you never. I'm going to give you that one. I was going to belabor things just to make it harder for you, but I'll give you that one. That was just so smooth.
That's, try to play my role in this thing.
Ever forward.
Ever forward. So let's go ever forward this week. And actually this month, we've been talking about branding. And just so happens this week, we are discussing professional branding. And we went through the conversation of when you need it, why it's important, what happens when it gets damaged, how to restore it or change it. And so today, as is typical for Friday, part of our brand is that we do a weekly wrap up. So as you look back on the week, Bob, what are some of your thoughts about professional branding?
This is an area, Tom, I've spent a lot of time in my career on. So I have a lot of thoughts. I think the biggest thing to me was when we started talking about it being damaged and how to recover from that. And it's several people reached out to me and said, I liked what you said about the fact that you shouldn't knee jerk. And if someone says, you're bad, or they write one Google review, don't change your whole company, but keep true to your mission. And I think that's something we have to keep in mind with personal branding. We can brand something any way we want. That's our choice. As an owner, as a team leader, as an organization, we can be whatever we want. Someone chose gorgeous Grandma's Day. Not wise Grandma's Day, not powerful Grandma's Day, not loving Grandma's Day, but gorgeous. That was a calculation. I have no idea what motivated them to do that, but that was a choice. You said, well, why that qualifier? It doesn't register with you the way that they probably intended, but that doesn't mean it's a bad brand. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. And I think often we think, well, if one person complains about it, it's bad. Now, I will tell you, I have today, it just so happens I have a shirt that says Serious Soft Skills on it, which is my corporate LLC. And when we formed that, the logic was, and we took about 20 minutes to make this branding decision, I'll admit that, we were trying to be serious about soft skills. That name resonated with us, my partner and I, on that project. It didn't resonate with the world. To us, it made perfect sense. It conveyed everything we were trying to get across. But since then, I've shifted that brand. The LLC is still Serious Soft Skills, but the brand has moved to Breakthrough Solutions because that resonated with the public more. But when the first person didn't like this name we didn't jump. We gathered data for a while and said, oh, wow, okay. Man, what we thought made sense to people doesn't land the way we thought it would land. And so I think there's that constant byplay, just like there's a construction company up in the Baltimore area called Dixie Construction. They go back years. That name was fine until about a year and a half ago. And they had to change their brand to DXI Construction because changing public sentiments about the word Dixie. See the same thing, the Dixie Chicks, the band, right? Had to change their name to the Chicks. Brands do have to change with the times and do have to reflect the society we're in. If the world finds that gorgeous is a very objectifying word and very offensive to people for whatever reason, I guarantee next year it's not going to be gorgeous Grandma's Day. It's going to be beautiful Grandmother's Day.
Yeah. Well, I think they probably like the alliteration the more I think about that, but it makes sense. I think.
Why not? Well, I guess it can't be Great Grandma's Day because it would be the next generation.
Correct. It would be confusing. Who are we truly celebrating on this day?
That's right.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's helpful. I think the other thing that was interesting to me this week, and you said it, that your wife, when she's looking at reviews, doesn't, she goes to look at what would be qualified as negative reviews or less positive. And that sort of solidifies for her that the organization is actually real, that there are actual people who have gone and have written reviews. Because no organization could always only have awesome reviews. That there are always going to be challenges. There are always going to be people who don't have a great experience, or at least their perception was a great experience. The product didn't work the way they thought. They didn't get the value that they were expecting. And so that just says that, hey, you know what? Here's an organization or a widget or a team out there trying to do something to help people with the challenges that they face. And sometimes it doesn't work, and that's okay. That just means that you are out there trying, not just trying to please everyone all the time. And I think that's when your brand struggles, and it's not really a brand. If you are trying to please everyone all the time, you're just shifting based on the wind, and no one will ever remember what the brand is. It'll only be that, I know them as this, and somebody else knows them as that. And so if you're talking about the organization,
not just remember, though, understand.
Well, true.
Right?
Correct.
Whether you remember it or not that's a important component, but also, do you understand the brand?
Sure. And what they're trying to accomplish and who they are. And I think that's, that is the challenge that we face. And I think that was an interesting point to consider, is that, sometimes just knowing that everybody is not going to agree and that's okay, it is all right. And I think that, to me, was just an interesting part of the conversation. Everybody works so hard. There's all these SEO experts who are out there trying to get you the right Google reviews rather than just getting the real Google reviews and being okay with that. That's what it is that, hey, you know what? We made mistakes. And if the organization responds and tries to correct or at least acknowledge for someone that, sorry that it didn't work out. What can we do to make it better? How could we change this? That means there is someone truly behind it. And it's not just bots out there creating reviews just to improve someone's position, that it is a true brand that is trying to make a difference and is listening to the customers that they have, the clients that they have. And I think that to me is an interesting part of how we truly develop a brand. It is through going through not only the challenges that we face, and also going through the opportunities that we have available. It's interesting with that trucking company or the construction company. What if that's the family name?
Right.
If it was the family name, would you still change it? Or would you be like, look, hey, you know what? I understand that some people there are now different associations with that word. This is who we are. This is our name. And, we're not going to change it because this is part of the brand. We understand why others may not appreciate it. And we are choosing that we have built this brand and based on our family and the way the family has run the business. And we're not going to change it.
Did you bring up the word bots about 10 sentences ago, Tom?
Sadly, yes.
Okay. I haven't thought about them in weeks. It's so funny. Now you say that word instantly, I'm back at it. And we have this comment, Tom, which pretty much captures the essence of the morning. This from Tim. He is up, but getting ready for a road trip, 5:50 a.m. because he's Central Time Zone. Really? Yes. Really? Yes,
Tim. Sometimes that is what is real for us. While you as a consumer might not like that we have moved our brand to 5:50 a.m., it was what was real. And thus we felt like we needed to be true to our renegade self and do what was real, not what was maybe right or perceived right for our audience.
And our brand is to do this every morning.
Correct.
With a couple of exceptions. But do this every morning, even if morning is 10 a.m. out of necessity or 6:50 a.m. East Coast time out of necessity.
Yes,
that happens. As true renegades. We have
it's
a fluid clock.
So here's my question for you.
Yes.
As true renegades or as real renegades, can you have a brand?
Wow. Mic drop moment. Well, yes, you can, but the brand doesn't have to appeal to anyone but you. If you're being unique, right? We say carving your own unique pathway to success. If you're being unique, then your brand may not resonate with other people because your brand would be unique to you, right? There aren't a whole lot of people out there doing what you do, right?
Well, I would imagine there's no one who does what I do like I do it.
You took the bait. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. So that makes it uniquely yours.
Correct.
So to brand it, all we can do when we brand is we try to compare things, right? We try to pull words that have an association, bring it together and say, these words combined together kind of get at what I'm doing. That's different than the guy next door who does the same thing. If I go to a restaurant, they might both sell hamburgers. One might use beef, all beef. One might use beef and lamb. They're both hamburgers. On the menu, it says hamburger. They're both restaurants. They're both available for carryout. So as we think it through, we can shade it any way we want. That's what makes it important to network, right? Because then you find those connections that resonate with you. Or if you're building your network, if you said to me, Bob, I need an intellectual property lawyer. I have two. They're very different. Mm-hmm. One is like big time, high level, and one is more gritty. Let's figure this out at a low level because you may not make a really big IP decision here. If you say, hey, I'm working with a big company and I got to do this thing, I'd be like, go to this guy. If you're just like, hey, I want to protect my company name, I'd send you to the other guy. They both do the same thing, but they do it different ways. And I know that because I've talked to both of them. I've seen them. I've heard about them. I see their branding. I've seen their website, and I know the difference. Just by their office locations, I can tell you a difference. If you're in the heart of the city and your rent is extremely expensive, your hourly rate is going to be expensive.
Sure. Just
has to be. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's a choice. And that's a brand. And we see this, with all kinds of vendors, right? I mean, there are plenty of people that do what I do. They don't do it my way. I can assure you. Doesn't mean I do it the only way or the right way. I do it my way. And so my brand, in essence, I think our brand ultimately becomes what our customers say about us. I think as you evolve from a company, from where you start to being a mature company, the mature company has all that feedback. They're getting increasing data points of language and experience from their customers, and they start incorporating those words into how they describe themselves, and then it attracts other people. That's why it's so hard when you start a company to have a clear brand, because no one knows what the heck it means.
Sure. It's just who you are, likely.
Yeah. Or who you want to be. I think often it's aspirational. It's not real. This is who I am. This is who I want to be. I want to be the best, widget maker in the world. Okay, go out and make 1 million widgets and then we'll talk.
Sure.
But you can't go out and say, hi, I'm Bob. I started a new company and I'm not really sure who my target is and what I'm really trying to do here. So if you need help with anything, call me, which I've seen people do, right? They go to a networking event. It's pretty much, hey, if you have any issues with anything, give me a shout. I'm like, oh, really? So you clean houses? No. You do roofing? No. Landscaping? No. Oh, okay. What do you do? Well, I really focus more on real estate transactions. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Any specific kind?
Right.
Yes. If it involves real estate, if you say the words real estate, call me. I'm there.
I mean, commercial and residential. Sorry.
No, but haven't you met people that start out? And I'm not making fun of people. It's a necessary thing. And something we've worked with people on in the Renegade Success Network, helping them define the walls of that brand. What are you good at? What is your network? Where do you have strengths? And then moving into them in a different way than just, hey, I want to be the guy that does X. Well, okay, what's your experience? I don't know anything about X. I know Y, Z, and A, but X, not so much. Oh, really? How are you going to help me? Don't know.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
So, Bob, it's at that time, I think. What is your one thing this week about professional brand?
It takes time to develop it. And I think it needs to have customer input. And I didn't really think that through until I was just talking through it with you just now. But I really think the best brands are the ones that incorporate what customers are saying to them again and again and again. The customer language becomes the right language. My breakthrough solutions came from customers going, wow, I think I just had a breakthrough. I heard that like 10 times. I didn't hear it until I was describing it to a coach. And I said to her, I keep hearing this word. And she's like, that's exactly what you do. Why don't you brand it that way? Oh, that's a great idea. But I couldn't do that just out of the gate, because out of the gate, it was serious soft skills, which is what we were trying to be, serious about soft skills. As we evolved and realized no one really gives a damn about soft skills, they care about solutions to problems. Hey, here's the guy who's done branding and marketing for years, had to learn that in my own business in the process. Got 5 of these shirts. So I was pretty committed to this. That's 5 more shirts than I have with you. I just put that in there. So Tim, if Tim's up at this hour still and still paying attention, Tim will log in right now like, yeah, where are the shirts?
Yeah, where are the shirts?
If he's going to be up at 5:50, I got to give him a payoff.
That's very fair. Very fair. It's funny. I think as I think about my one thing, I've been all over the place with what I think it is. I like what you shared. And I think that at some point, one of the things I think I struggled with a lot in the last 2 weeks is the difference between your personal and your professional brand and how much they overlap and are impacted by one another. And I think that, yes, could you be a movie star who has this public persona, which is truly their brand, and then be a completely different person behind the scenes? Sure. I think that that for most of us, that is not the case, is that our personal brand carries over into our professional brand. And I think that that's okay, especially as you're starting out, right? As you just get started with an organization, they don't know you professionally as well as they start to get to know you. Or I guess they know you more professionally, then they get to start to know you personally. And I think when those things align, it makes it a lot easier for people to get to know you. If they see you outside of the professional space and you're a completely different interacting person, then I think there's some confusion of who is this person truly? Are they the person they show up at work? Or are they the person they show up at home? And not that they have to be exactly the same. I think that is, to me, I think one of the reasons why Renegade fits so well is I think that my personal persona and my professional persona were similar. Mm-hmm. Is that I was trying to carve my own unique pathway. And while sometimes that went well, other times it didn't fit with the model that was going on at the organization I was at or some of the people there. And so I think that is, we start to deal with that and understand, where does our professional brand end and our personal brand start, or do they just meld together? And as long as we're okay with whatever that is, then I think you're a true renegade and you are carving your own unique pathway. So I think that's my one thing, is that I think.
Isn't that a function though of a smaller company? Because I'm thinking about Chick-fil-A that has a very strong brand and thousands upon thousands of employees who execute a consistent mission. Yes, they make mistakes, but rarely. And I can't give you the name of any Chick-fil-A employee, not one name. Yet I know if I go to Chick-fil-A at lunchtime today, they're going to get me through the drive-through quickly. They've got a 99% chance of getting my order right, which I was at Burger King yesterday. They couldn't manage that.
Well, yes. And I think that if something didn't happen well, you would likely remember a lot about that employee. If you were treated poorly, if your order got messed up and the person wasn't really paying attention, you would remember who the person was, what they looked like, and that would have an impact on the brand, right? And I think that at the bigger,
But I bet I can't think of. I've had interactions with people that didn't go well at various restaurants and other places. I can't remember a name of anyone.
okay, well, all right. That's fair.
Right.
I mean, I think that it does relate to the founders and the principles on which the organization was founded, which is where some larger organizations have challenges. Is that sometimes the things that owners do personally have a direct impact on who chooses to use their services professionally. And I think that is, part of that. Here's my personal brand. At Chick-fil-A, they don't work on Sundays. And they are also people who believe that they support organizations that they're not fans of, and so they won't go there. And that is a professional brand decision based on a personal brand step or an action. And so I think that sometimes those things get caught up. The person who's standing there taking your order at the drive-thru, you're not really paying attention to what their personal brand is unless it has an impact on you. Yet there are a lot of people who will go and look at the personal brand of the ownership as they make decisions about who they use and what they buy.
Sure.
So I guess that's just for me. That was some of the things going through my head this week is how those things overlap. And
nice. It was a great discussion.
Yeah, it was.
And really.
So it's one of those things that I didn't, I wouldn't have ever thought of. I mean, I thought about, but not in a way that I think had a greater impact. It would have just been a casual thought, not a, this is interesting to think about is why does one cross into the other? Because sometimes people cannot separate, this is the company and this is the person at the company.
Sounds great, Tom. You want to wrap this puppy up?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you have thoughts about professional branding or branding in general that you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments. Even if you didn't watch live, but you're watching the replay of it, and share what your thoughts are about it. And if you have one thing, identify that and let us know, because we know that while what we have to say will impact some, what you have to say might impact someone else, and that could help them take their next step on their own unique pathway to success. Or you can share it inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. If you're not yet a member, it's easy to join. Just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades, and ask to join. It is a private group.
I am so happy you brought that up, Tom.
Yeah, thank you. I know how much you like that. Yeah, all you have to do is tell us why you're a renegade, and you can become a part of our growing community of people who are trying to help one another take their next step on their own unique pathway to success. So we hope that we will see you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, or we'll see you Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for our next edition of today's Antidote. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, here's some information. So with that, everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday.
Carving your own path is tough. You want and need a community to offer you insights and advice, share inspiration, provide support, and save you time and money. But where do you find all that? Here's the easy answer: the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, where leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners identify their next steps. Here's some of what you will find at the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Just go to ringofrenegades.com and join today. Find and accomplish those next steps.